Welcome to a new episode of Date Like a French Woman, the podcast to help women who tend to attract the players, the narcissists, the predators, all those Mr. Wrongs, practice a better, a safer, and more empowered way of dating, which I call holistic conscious dating. Today, we are going to talk about letting love in. Since February is the month of love, Valentine's Day is coming, and everyone is getting ready either to go on a date or some people to really get frustrated that they don't have anyone in their life to go on a date with. And when I think about letting love in, I had a story that came to me. So I thought about telling you a story today, a metaphor. Imagine a queen who was dying because she was so fearful that she placed security guards all around her tower and asked them to really protect her by not letting herself any visitors in. And the problem was that the people who came to the castle to deliver food and all her necessities couldn't go in either. So by wanting to protect herself, she was in fact killing herself. When the solution could have been to place those guards at the border of her land, so that she could benefit from all the richness and harvest all the fruits from her land and live happily ever after. That's what people do in their love life. Sometimes when they have experienced so many heartbreaks, they close their heart. And because their heart is closed, so in a way it protects them from feeling hurt. But it also protects them or prevents them from experiencing love. And that's a pity. So what's the solution? Well, as I said, put the security guards at the border of your land. And in our case, it means really, instead of starting dating without any caution and any discernment and letting just any man into your life while you try to qualify him and see if it would be something that could continue, that could really create the relationship that you long for, don't invite them right away. Have a qualifying process. I always emphasize that. And remember, I always emphasize also to stay on your side of the fence. So set some strong boundaries and have a qualifying process. I know it's not very sexy, especially for a French woman, to talk about a qualifying process in your romantic life, but if you are a woman who has been attracting all those predators in the past, all those players, all those Mr. Wrong who actually hurt you and broke your heart, it is mandatory for you to set some boundaries, because it's never on one side. If you attracted those guys, if you pick them, it's not random. And if you listen to my show, you know that Mr. Wrong is not random. Mr. Wrong only stick if there is a Velcro for Mr. Wrong. So if you invited them in your life, you have a Velcro spot for those guys. You believe certain things about yourself that make you invite them in your life, and you behave in a certain way that makes them stay, that makes them attracted to you. So it's really, really crucial that you realize that, and that you don't just invite any random guy into your life and into your heart. Have them gain your approval. Observe. Observe from a neutral point of view. And in fact, to stay neutral, do not get intimate too fast. Do not have sex too fast. And I mentioned it in the past, once a woman has sex with a guy, there is an hormone that is generated and released into the body, which is the bonding hormone, and it's becoming extremely hard to see clearly. In fact, you can't even see clearly anymore because your perception is clouded by those hormones. So it's crucial to, before you have sex with them, qualify them. And if you're afraid that the guy is going to run because you don't want to be intimate, he's not the right guy for you anyway. So have some kind of guidelines to qualify a person. Know your signs, the red flags that you may have ignored in the past, who you want as a partner, even as friends and people in your life. I really recommend know who you will accept and who you will not accept. And one of the fundamental criteria for that is only the people who will respect and honor who you are, you should have in your life, and vice versa. They should be people that you can respect and honor yourself. So watch if there are any signs that they are not good guys. And I have on my website, if you're not sure about the signs, I have something called the 10 signs is not the one. And on that list, it's in fact a mini workbook where you will be able to work with your own stuff and customize your list. I only put signs that are serious enough to tell you run in the other direction. Because if you see that in a man, you can be sure that it is not a healthy relationship. So you need to have your deal breakers, have your signs, and be committed to yourself enough and to find a healthy love, a healthy relationship enough to really decide to leave when you witness that. It's not about talking yourself out because you so want a relationship now. It's extremely dangerous. That's the best recipe for another heartbreak. Something that I also wanted to mention today is that you need to be observing, but not judging. So we're talking about discernment, not judgment. We're talking about seeing signs and facts. It's not about telling yourself a story regarding what his actions mean. Once you know which actions are good in your book and which actions are not, which behaviors you're ready to accept and which behaviors you're not ready to accept, you don't need the story behind them. You just see the facts, qualify or reject. But it's not about bringing your past into this current relationship, because I know even with myself or with women that I work with, at the beginning you are going to be triggered every time something has a tiny resemblance with your past. So you really need to stay neutral and as emotionally balanced as you can. That's why it's important to have centering practices and spiritual practices to really bring you back to your center. You need to see clearly but not project, not interpret. Because although some stuff may resemble, they are not the same. And know that no relationship is perfect. And in fact, relationships are here for us to grow, both on a personal level, on a self-empowerment level, and on a spiritual level. So there is always some work to be done in a relationship. You will get triggered. But the key is, what are you triggered on? Is it something that's real, that's really a signal for you that you should leave? Or is it something that resembles something that you've seen in the past, but is not the same thing? So work on gaining discernment and not judgment. And you will know, because the judgment is way more emotionally charged than discernment. Discernment is just seeing the facts and knowing what's happening, not having a huge emotional charge about it. Your head should be clearer. And the last thing I wanted to mention is be aware of the thing that I call the soulmate mirage. I will do a show later on about the myth about soulmates, but when something seems too perfect from the beginning, when the relationship is going high in intensity, in French we say all fire and flames, like it's so exciting, the adrenaline is up, that's a bad sign. And it usually resembles something that you've lived in the past, because if you have been experiencing and creating relationships where it's pretty dysfunctional, there is high peaks and high lows. And that creates biochemicals in your body of, the rush of biochemicals, whether it is negative or positive. So when something resemble too much of he's my soulmate, we think the same way, we believe the same way, we have so much in common, oh my God, he was meant for me from the beginning, be extremely cautious, because it's usually the sign of an emotional addiction and not a real soulmate. And I'm talking, of course, about women who are the ideal prey for the predators out there, for the narcissists and all those guys that are really dangerous on an emotional and sometimes physical level. Be aware and don't let yourself be sucked in by the relationship, even though it can be a good feeling of positive stuff and intense. As I said, don't let yourself be sucked in. Keep your center. I would like to conclude with something that you may have done, and if you haven't, it is important for you to heal your heart. If you have experienced heartbreaks and you have not attended to your heart, your poor heart, who has been broken many, many times maybe, it needs your attention. It needs to know this is deeply connected to a part of yourself that is the little girl in you, the little girl that is vulnerable, that is craving for love, that is really afraid. And especially if you have lived through difficult relationships, it has been hurt. So go in, find a moment to go in silence and to sink your consciousness, your awareness in your heart and have a dialogue with your heart. Send love to that beautiful heart. See it in your mind's eye and send the energy of love, whatever color it has for you. It's usually pink, but it doesn't have to be if that's not what you see. I know that for me, sometimes I see a golden energy of love, and I see my heart filling up from inside with that golden energy, and the energy is actually that light is radiating out. Send some love to your heart. Ask for forgiveness for having somehow abandoned it in the past and lost yourself in the relationship, given it too loosely to people who didn't deserve it. Reassure this part of you that you are now on your side, that you now have your back, and that you will be here to protect it, because you will set some strong boundaries out far enough from it for your heart to be protected. And only people who will gain your approval through a strict qualifying process will be allowed to get close to your heart and to be in your heart. It's a work that is crucial to do, because the fear from opening your heart, which can lead to actually being paralyzed and not acting, not doing anything about finding love because you're too afraid of being hurt. This fear can be decreased by really showing up for your heart and being there for your heart and protecting it until you can feel safer and you can dare getting close to another human being, a good one this time, and really enjoying a heart-to-heart authentic connection, because you deserve it. If that's something that you would like to do with me and with other people like you can go and join my Facebook group, Date Like a French Woman. I have a Facebook page which you can also like as well, because I do at least one live Facebook session a week where we talk about a topic, where we can interact, you can ask questions. And join the private group so that we can do processes. I'm going to do a process this weekend about healing your heart, a deep inner journey that you can undertake with us together. And even if you don't watch it live, you can watch it on replay, because you will be part of us as well. Energy is energy, and you'll do that inner journey, that guided inner journey to heal your heart, so you'll have an idea of how to go about it. I hope it helps. I hope you're going to have a wonderful Valentine's Day. I believe it falls on a Wednesday, so of course I'll have to do a show about it, a show about Valentine's Day, and maybe ways to celebrate Valentine's Day, whether you're with a date or with yourself. Maybe how to date yourself, because that's a way to attract a healthy relationship with the right person, when you can actually take yourself on a date, honoring and loving yourself that way. That's a beautiful energy, beautifully aligned. And as usual, share this podcast if you know someone that could benefit from it. And if you love it, please go on iTunes and give me a review, give me some stars. I really want to reach as many people as possible, and I want to rank on iTunes. So I would love it if you could do that. Until I see you again next week, have a wonderful week full of love, and be connected to your heart. Bye for now.